I'm Emily Harper, 29 years old, and just last month, I stood on the edge of everything I'd ever dreamed of: a beautiful house, a life built on my own terms, funded by a decade of relentless sacrifice. I'd saved $390,000, every penny earned through late nights, side hustles, and a discipline most people can't imagine. I was ready to sign the papers, to hold the keys to my future. But then, in a single moment, it all vanished. My savings account empty. When I confronted my parents, my father didn't flinch. He just smiled, cold as ice, and said, "Thanks for your naivety. Emily, your money has secured your brother's bright future." I should have crumbled. I should have screamed. Instead, I laughed, a deep, uncontrollable laugh that shook me to my core. If you're wondering why, stick with me. This is a story of betrayal, of secrets, of a fight I never expected to wage, and a victory I never thought I'd claim. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to join me on this wild journey. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this unfolds. Let's rewind to where it all began. I grew up in Boston, in a sprawling colonial house that looked like it belonged on a postcard. But inside those walls, life was anything but picture perfect. My parents, Diane and Richard Harper, ruled with an iron grip. From my earliest memories, I had no control, not over my clothes, my friends, my hobbies, not even the books I read. Everything needed their approval. Privacy. That was a word I didn't know. My mother, a marketing executive, approached parenting like a corporate project. Every decision was calculated, every boundary enforced with precision. "We're only looking out for your best interests," she'd say, her voice smooth as silk, while she dismantled any shred of independence I tried to claim. My father, a financial advisor known for his cutthroat investment strategies, was no different. He controlled the family's money like a dictator, documenting every penny I spent in a little black notebook he kept locked in his desk. Money isn't for children to worry about. He'd snap whenever I asked about my allowance or savings. To them, I wasn't a person with dreams or agency. I was a variable to be managed, a line item in their ledger. The worst part, the way they treated my younger brother, Tyler, made their control over me feel like a personal attack. Tyler, 4 years younger, was their golden child. His room was his sanctuary, filled with the latest gaming consoles and sports gear, all funded without question. His choices were rarely challenged. When he crashed his first car at 17, my parents didn't blink. They bought him a shinier, faster model the next week. "Boys will be boys," my mother would shrug, her smile indulgent. Meanwhile, I'd get a 2-hour lecture for coming home 15 minutes late from a school event. The contrast was stark, and it stung. Tyler could do no wrong, while I could do no right. Their favoritism wasn't just unfair, it was a wound that shaped me, pushing me to prove I didn't need them, that I could build something of my own. That drive for independence started early. At 16, I got my first job at a local coffee shop, hiding my tips in a hollowed-out book on my shelf so my parents wouldn't know. By 18, I'd saved enough to cover my first semester at community college, juggling classes with a full-time job. When I moved out at 19, taking my thrift store furniture and meager savings to a cramped apartment 30 minutes away, my parents were livid. "You're making a terrible mistake," my father warned, his voice dripping with condescension. "You'll be back in 6 months, begging for our help." I didn't go back. Instead, I thrived. I transferred to a 4-year college on a partial scholarship, majoring in computer science. By 22, I landed an entry-level job at a small tech firm. By 25, I was a senior developer, earning a salary that finally let me breathe. My savings strategy was ruthless. 30% of every paycheck went into a high-yield savings account. I lived with roommates, drove a 15-year-old car that rattled on highways, cooked every meal at home, and bought clothes from secondhand stores. Bonuses, tax refunds, side gigs, every extra dollar went straight to my savings. I tracked it all in spreadsheets, projecting the exact moment I'd hit my goal, $400,000 for a house down payment and an emergency fund. That number wasn't just money, it was freedom, security, a life no one could take from me. My relationship with my parents during those years was strained but civil. I visited for major holidays, called once a week, and kept my answers vague when they pried into my finances. "I'm doing fine," I'd say, deflecting their questions. They didn't need to know about my spreadsheets or my dreams. 3 years ago, everything changed when I met Jessica at a tech conference. She was brilliant, funny, and saw my drive for independence without me having to explain it. After a year of dating, we moved in together, splitting rent and utilities, which accelerated my savings even more. Jessica was the one who pushed me to start house hunting 6 months ago, even though I was $10,000 short of my goal. "Real estate isn't getting cheaper," she said, her logic cutting through my hesitation. "And interest rates are still decent. We should start looking now." So we did. Weekends became open house marathons, our wish list taking shape: 3 bedrooms, a home office, a decent kitchen, a small yard, and a location that wouldn't mean soul-crushing commutes. When we found the perfect house, a 3-bedroom craftsman with original woodwork and an updated kitchen, listed at $385,000, I felt it in my bones. This was it. We could put an office in the smallest bedroom, Jessica said as we toured the sunlit rooms. "And the backyard's big enough for that garden you've always wanted, for the first time." I let myself imagine a future that was mine, a home no one could control, a foundation for the life I'd worked so hard to build. My parents, predictably, weren't thrilled. "Homeownership is a trap at your age," my father said during a Sunday phone call, his tone dismissive. "You'll be buried in maintenance costs and property taxes when you should be focusing on your career." My mother chimed in. "You're still so young." "Emily, there's plenty of time to settle down later." I wasn't surprised by their reaction, so I kept the details to myself, no mention of the house, the price, or my plan to make an offer, which is why I was blindsided at our next family dinner when my father casually mentioned the beautiful oak cabinets in the kitchen of the house I was considering. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. "How did you know about that?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. He looked flustered for a split second before recovering. "You must have mentioned it last time we talked," he said smoothly. I knew I hadn't. I brushed it off, chalking it up to a coincidence or maybe Jessica mentioning it to them. But looking back, that was the first red flag, the first hint that something was deeply wrong. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a notification that stopped me cold. Account access confirmed from new device. It was from my banking app, but I hadn't logged in that day. Heart pounding. I opened my secure browser and checked my account. Everything looked normal, no unauthorized transactions, no missing funds. Still, the alert gnawed at me. I called the bank's customer service line, my fingers trembling as I dialed. "We show a login from a new IP address at 2:15 p.m. today," the representative said after verifying my identity. "It's from within your state. Would you like us to lock your account and issue new credentials?" Since nothing seemed off, I opted for a password change, assuming I'd logged in from work and forgotten. But the unease lingered, a quiet alarm in the back of my mind. 2 days later, it happened again, an email this time, notifying me of a successful login from an unrecognized device. I called the bank immediately, speaking to a security specialist named Marcus. "Ms. Harper, I'm seeing multiple access points to your account over the past week," he said, his tone professional but concerned. "Some are from mobile devices not registered to your profile. Is anything missing? Has anyone transferred money out?" My pulse raced. "No transfers yet," he confirmed, "but there have been several inquiries about wire transfer procedures. Would you like us to freeze your account while we investigate?" I agreed on the spot, adding extra security measures, including verbal confirmation for any transfer over $1,000. Marcus suggested I scan my devices for malware, and that night, I did just that. My phone came up clean, But my laptop, a 3-year-old machine I used for finances and personal projects, was another story. A deep system scan revealed an unfamiliar program running in the background, invisible in my regular programs list. With the help of a tech-savvy friend, I identified its sophisticated tracking software capable of recording keystrokes, capturing screenshots, and monitoring every click I made. My stomach churned as the realization hit. This wasn't a random hack. I traced the timeline back to 4 months earlier, when my laptop had been sluggish during a visit to my parents' house. My father, ever the helpful tech expert, had offered to fix it. "I'll run some diagnostics," he'd said, taking my computer into his study for hours. "This is what I do for clients all the time." He'd returned it that evening, faster and smoother than before. I'd thanked him, never suspecting he'd installed spyware. Now, the truth was undeniable. My parents had been watching me for months. They'd seen my banking sessions, my house hunting searches, my emails about mortgage pre-approvals, even my private messages with Jessica about our future. My hands shook as I logged into my savings account from Jessica's tablet, bypassing the freeze with a phone verification. The screen loaded, and my world collapsed. Balance, $0. 10 years of sacrifice. 390,000 gone. A wire transfer, completed the previous day. Had sent it all to an account I didn't recognize. I checked the transaction details, and there it was, Richard Harper, my father. Jessica found me staring at the screen, a sound half gasp, half scream escaping my throat. "Emily, what's wrong?" she asked, gripping my shoulders. "It's gone," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "Everything. The house, our future, it's all gone." She took the tablet, scanning the details. "This has to be fraud," she said firmly. "We'll call the bank now. They can reverse it if we act fast." But I knew better. "It's not fraud," I said, my voice hollow. "It's my parents." I called them immediately, but no one answered. Texts went unread. I sent emails to their personal and work addresses, marked emergency. "Please contact me." Nothing. By morning, after a sleepless night pacing our apartment, I'd left 6 voicemails and countless messages. Their silence was deafening, and in that silence, my shock hardened into resolve. "I'm going over there," I told Jessica, grabbing my car keys. "Today." She reached for her jacket. "I'm coming with you." I shook my head. "I need to do this alone, but I'll call if I need you." The 40-minute drive to their suburban home was a blur, my mind racing through impossible explanations. A mistake, a misguided attempt to protect my money, but the spyware told a different story. This was deliberate, calculated, a betrayal so deep I could barely process it. Their street looked the same as always: neat hedges, mulched flower beds, an American flag on the porch, everything in place, just as they liked it. I parked behind my father's luxury sedan, sat for a moment to steady my nerves, then walked up the brick path and rang the doorbell. My mother answered, her expression shifting from surprise to guarded neutrality. "Emily," she said, stepping back. "This is unexpected. We usually do Sunday dinners, not Tuesday drop-ins. I didn't bother with pleasantries. Is Dad home?" She nodded. "In his study. Is everything all right?" I ignored her, heading straight for my father's office. He looked up from his computer, removing his reading glasses with a bland smile. "Emily, what brings you by on a weekday?" I closed the door, a strange calm settling over me. "I know what you did," I said. His expression didn't change. "You'll need to be more specific." I didn't waver. $390,000 transferred yesterday from my savings account to yours. And the tracking software you installed on my laptop when you fixed it. A flicker crossed his face, not guilt, but surprise. Maybe that I'd figured it out so fast. Then his features hardened. "Sit down, Emily," he said, gesturing to the chair where I'd endured countless childhood lectures. I stayed standing. "Where is my money?" My mother slipped into the room, closing the door. "Richard," she said softly. "She knows. Of course she knows," he replied, unfazed. "Sooner than we expected. But it changes nothing." He turned to me. "The money is safe. We made a family decision about its best use." I stared, incredulous. A family decision. "You took my money, 10 years of my savings, without even talking to me. That's not a family decision. That's theft." My mother's voice was sharp. "Don't be dramatic. Emily, we're your parents. We've always known what's best for you, even when you can't see it." I felt my composure slip. "I'm 29 years old. I have a career, a relationship, and until yesterday, a plan to buy a house. You had no right to interfere." My father stood, his height still imposing. "We had every right. You were about to make a terrible mistake, tying up all your assets in an overpriced house in a market that's about to crash. We protected you from yourself." "By stealing from me?" My voice rose, despite my efforts to stay calm. "By reallocating family resources where they'll do the most good," he corrected. "Your brother's been accepted to an elite business school, and his startup idea needs capital. His future will benefit this family for generations." As if on cue, the front door opened, and Tyler appeared in the study, looking confused. "What's going on?" he asked. "Nothing that concerns you," my mother said quickly. I turned to him. "Actually, they stole my entire savings, $390,000, to give to you. Apparently, your education and business are more important than my future." Tyler's eyes widened. "What? That can't be right." He looked at our parents. "Tell me that's not true." My father's expression turned cold. "Emily's being selfish, as usual. We made a decision that benefits the family." Tyler's voice shook. "By stealing her money," my mother cut in. "It's not stealing when it's for your child's good. Emily was about to waste that money on a house she doesn't need. Your future is more promising." Tyler looked horrified. "I never asked for this. I'd never want her money taken from her." My father waved him off. "You'll understand when you're older. Sometimes parents make tough decisions." He turned to me, his smile smug. "Thanks for your naivety. Emily, your money has secured your brother's bright future." And that's when I laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full, uncontrollable laugh that doubled me over. My parents exchanged worried glances. "Emily, are you all right?" my mother asked cautiously. I straightened, wiping tears from my eyes. "I'm better than all right. I'm fantastic." "Because you didn't get what you think you got." My father's brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" I smiled. $390,000 was my total savings. But last week, after getting pre-approved for a mortgage, I moved $351,000 to a secure account at a different bank, one you didn't know about. The account you emptied only had $39,000. The color drained from my father's face. "That's not possible. We monitored your account. You never made any large transfers." "No, I didn't," I said, "because after I noticed strange activity, I went to the bank in person and had a banker transfer the funds with no digital trail. I was planning to surprise Jessica with the news that we could make an offer on the house with extra for renovations." My mother sank into a chair. "You're lying. Call the bank if you don't believe me," I replied, "though I'm not sure you want to draw more attention to what you've done." Tyler stepped beside me. "I want no part of this," he said firmly. "Whatever they took, I don't want it, and I'll help you get it back." My father's shock turned to anger. "You ungrateful children! After everything we've done for you!" I cut him off. "What you've done is commit fraud and theft. You installed spyware on my computer without consent, used it to access my bank account, and transferred funds that weren't yours. That's not parenting, it's criminal." My mother's voice wavered. "You wouldn't press charges against your own parents." I met her eyes. "Watch me." I turned to leave, pausing at the door. "You have 24 hours to return my $39,000. After that, I'm going to the police with everything." Tyler followed me out. and as we left, our parents stunned in the study. I felt a weight lift a burden I'd carried my whole life without realizing it. The 24 hours passed with no response. No money returned. True to my word, I filed a police report the next morning, armed with bank statements, screenshots of the unauthorized transfer, and evidence of the spyware. Detective Kimberly Walsh listened as I laid out the story, her expression growing graver with each detail. Unfortunately, cases like this aren't as rare as you'd think, she said. Family financial exploitation is common, though your parents' methods are unusually sophisticated. She promised an investigation but suggested I consult a financial crimes attorney for faster recovery. Through a colleague, I found Sarah Williams, a lawyer with experience in parental financial abuse cases. Her office was small but sharp, and she listened intently as I recounted everything. First, we'll file an emergency injunction to freeze the funds they took, she said. Then we'll pursue civil claims for the money plus damages and work with the police on potential criminal charges. She moved fast. By week's end, a judge froze my parents' accounts where my money had been deposited. Our complaint charged them with theft, fraud, unauthorized computer access, and invasion of privacy. My parents didn't back down. They hired Bradford Montgomery, a high-priced attorney known for defending wealthy clients in financial disputes. Their response was a mix of denial and justification, claiming they'd acted out of parental concern and fiduciary duty. Worse, they filed a countersuit, alleging I'd borrowed money from them as a young adult with a verbal agreement to repay, and the $39,000 was just them collecting a family debt. That's a complete lie, I told Sarah, stunned. I've been financially independent since 19. She nodded. I believe you. We'll need evidence bank records, testimonials from friends or colleagues, anything showing your independence. The case spiraled beyond our family. Local news ran a story on digital privacy, clearly referencing us without names. My inbox filled with messages, support from friends, shock from colleagues, criticism from relatives. My mother's sister, Aunt Lauren, sent the most painful one. Family matters stay in the family. Your parents made a mistake, but dragging them through court will ruin any chance of reconciliation. Is that what you want? What I wanted was accountability, something she couldn't grasp. I wanted my parents to face consequences for once, not rewrite reality to suit their narrative. Jessica was my rock, taking days off to attend meetings with Sarah, organizing evidence, holding me when the stress and hurt overwhelmed me. You're doing the right thing, she'd whisper as I cried. Standing up for yourself doesn't make you a bad daughter. They broke your trust in the worst way. Tyler, too, surprised me with his support. Despite family pressure, he gave a statement confirming he'd never asked for my money and detailing our parents' favoritism and control. I've always felt guilty about how they treated us differently. He admitted over lunch with Sarah and me, but I never thought they'd go this far. I'm sorry I didn't stand up sooner. The deposition was the hardest part, hours facing my parents and their attorney, who painted me as ungrateful and irresponsible. Isn't it true your parents advised against buying a house? Showing financial wisdom you ignored, Bradford Montgomery asked. They expressed opinions, I replied, coached by Sarah. But opinions don't justify accessing my account or installing spyware. He pressed harder. Isn't your brother's education a better investment for family resources than an overpriced house? Sarah objected. Family resources implies joint ownership. These funds were my clients', earned and saved over a decade. The legal battle took its toll. The house we loved sold to another buyer. My parents spread rumors among family friends, hinting at my mental health issues. Settling tempted me just to end the stress. But my father's smug words, "Thanks for your naivety," kept me going. Sarah's team brought in digital forensics experts who traced the spyware to when my father had my laptop. Bank records proved my consistent saving, debunking their debt claims. The case went to court 3 months after the theft. The judge denying my parents' delay tactics. On the eve of trial, their attorney proposed a settlement, $39,000 returned, plus $20,000 for legal fees and distress, in exchange for dropping all claims. In court, Judge Patricia Alvarez asked if I accepted. I looked at my parents, their perfect facades cracking under pressure. They'd violated my privacy, stolen my future, all while believing they owned me. No, Your Honor, I said. Those terms aren't acceptable, Sarah whispered urgently, but I held firm. I've been reasonable my whole life while they controlled me. I want the court to decide. The trial revealed more than I expected. My parents' financial records showed they were drowning. My father's firm had lost clients. Their mortgage was underwater. Tyler's tuition was unaffordable. They'd seen my savings as a lifeline, justifying their theft through years of paternalistic control. Sarah's closing was fierce. This wasn't a lapse in judgment, but a calculated invasion, culminating in the theft of my client's life savings. Family ties don't exempt anyone from legal boundaries. The judge ruled in my favor, ordering the return of $39,000 plus $50,000 in punitive damages and a permanent injunction barring my parents from my financial accounts or devices. The paternalistic overreach, enabled by sophisticated methods, is deeply troubling, she said, referring the case for possible criminal charges. My parents sat motionless, their narrative shattered. The aftermath was complex. My parents paid the judgment quickly, likely to avoid prosecution, which the DA declined due to their clean record and restitution. With $89,000 added to my $351,000, Jessica and I resumed house hunting. We found a 4-bedroom home with a wraparound porch, slightly outside our original area, but perfect. Our offer was accepted, and at closing, I felt a surreal triumph. That night, we sat on our new living room floor, toasting with champagne, to new beginnings. Jessica said, and hard lessons learned. I added, I set firm boundaries with my parents, no unannounced visits, no financial discussions. Our contact was limited to brief, civil exchanges at family events, mainly for Tyler's sake. He'd moved out, funding his business degree with loans and work. It's harder, but it feels honest, he said, helping us paint our new home. My parents' reconciliation attempts showed they'd learned little. My mother's housewarming gift came with a card. Everything worked out for the best. My father pitched an investment for my settlement money. I redirected them firmly, refusing their narrative of a resolved misunderstanding. Therapy with Dr. Andrea Reeves helped me process the emotional wounds. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild, she said. Your healing can't depend on their acknowledgement. I chose to build a life independent of their validation. Jessica and I made our home a sanctuary, filled with color and love. My career took an unexpected turn. My story resonated at a tech conference, leading to a job on a cybersecurity firm's family security team. I developed tools to protect others from surveillance like I'd faced, turning pain into purpose. Jessica's design business grew, and one fall evening, she proposed on our porch swing, sliding a simple ring onto my finger. Yes, I said, the joy untainted by the past. Tyler, now a friend as much as a brother, celebrated our engagement, free from our parents' manipulation. Our first Thanksgiving in the new house was for chosen family Tyler, close friends, no parents. I sent them a civil card, a step toward peace, not forgiveness. A year after the ruling, my father emailed an unexpected apology, admitting their methods were wrong. It wasn't a full resolution, but I thanked him without promising more. True repair would take time. My life now, our home, my work. Jessica. Tyler reflects a freedom I never imagined. The betrayal meant to break me fueled my growth. True security isn't control. It's living by your values, surrounded by those who respect you. If this resonates, share your story in the comments. Have you set tough boundaries with loved ones? Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for joining me. We're stronger together.